Hello and welcome back to the podcast or YouTube, depending on where you are watching. This is episode 3 of the little mini series called Why Fitness. So, if this is the first one, you just came across this or someone shared it with you, you might want to go back to the playlist on the YouTube channel or just go back a few episodes on the podcast and check out the first one, Why Fitness Part 1. Because, like I said, this is a 4-part series. This is video 3 or episode 3 on the podcast. So it might make more sense. But hey, if this is the specific one you're looking for, someone share it with you and said, listen to this episode, feel free to just, jump on in. All right. So episode 3 of Why Fitness, reverse engineer your goals. I'm a huge proponent of this for everything in life. In fact, when I interviewed for my current position, they kept asking me all these like scenario based questions like, oh, so how would like what will you do to grow the youth group, or what will you do this, or what will your first year look like? And I'm like, I don't know, because I don't know what the group is. So basically, speaking an entrepreneur here, I don't know who my customer avatar is. I don't know what their need for a service or product is. Therefore, I have no clue how I'm going to reach them. So I'm going to show up. I'm going to love on them. I'm going to befriend them. I'm going to get to know them. And then I'm going to figure out what the need is. I'm going to figure out who they are, right? And what their need is. And then I'm going to reverse engineer that. And somehow I still got the job. So it's the same thing with my weight loss goal is trying to get healthier wasn't working. I was trying to get healthier for years. And it's not inspiring. It doesn't seem, for one, it doesn't seem possible. It doesn't, because what does that mean? Do I want to look like, Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool? Am I going to look like crazy fit, or am I trying to just lose a little bit of weight? Like, what does that mean? Okay, hey, I lost a pound. Goal accomplished. I increased my fitness. Hey, I ate one salad. Awesome. I'm now eating better. I ate better this year by 1,000% because I didn't eat a salad last year, right? Like, it's vague. And then it's hard when you're doing something, you're trying to push through and you don't want to do it. Maybe you're getting up early, staying up late to get in that exercise you don't want to miss, whatever it is. Excuse me, whatever it is. If you're just doing it for this vague general sense of to be healthier, it's uninspiring, right? So something I learned in the entrepreneur world is the idea of modeling. And essentially it's kind of like copying, but not exactly. So you basically, the idea is that you would take someone who's doing something similar to what you want to do, and you would say, "Hey, what did they do that was successful? And let me learn from them." Not copy them exactly, because you're you and you have your customers and they're them and they have their customers. Even if you have the same customers, you're different than they are. So you can't just copy it exactly. For all one, also that would be unethical and in some cases illegal. But you have to model after them, right? And so you go, rather than say, "Hey, I'm going to start from scratch. Hey, I want to start a podcast and grow it. I'm going to start from scratch." Or you could go and you could subscribe to Cliff Ravenscraft, aka the podcast answer man, and learn a ton of stuff from him, right? Way easier. I'm gonna take a quick drink here for the YouTubers. You're like, why are you announcing that? For the podcast, they don't just think there's a random awkward pause. I actually learned that from Cliff. He never like taught that specifically, but I noticed he did that, and I felt like it was like made way more sense, because I'd sit here and I'd have a drink and then my throat would be dry and I'd want to drink, but I was like, oh, it's awkward. And I just watched him in a couple episodes just be like, oh, take a quick drink of my water here and clear. And I was like, oh, that's so much less awkward. And it also saves a ton of time from having to just go back and like edit all those pieces out later too. So see, I already learned something from the guy. So this idea of modeling. And so I'm like, okay, I need this on two levels. One, I want to model someone because I just need to set a goal. And I'm an extreme person. I'm a burn the ships. If I'm attacking a city and I know there's ships, I can go home. I'm gonna give like 70, maybe 80% in this battle. If I burn the ships, I'm gonna give like 110%, 120%, whatever, 200%, whatever dumb, impossible number you want to say, right? Because nothing over 100%, I guess you could say. I don't know, whatever. So I do everything extreme with that. And so I'm like, I need to pick something that's going to inspire me. Like, I need to pick a person to model who, one, so I can learn from them and see what they're doing to get those same results. So that's one of them, is the practical, and I'll get to that in a second. But was to just like, I need to be able to just have that inspiration. And so I started looking around, and I picked The Rock, right? Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I don't know why, just something, I hate to use the phrase resonated with, but essentially, yes, something stood out and he just was inspiring to me. And I logically thought, okay, he's not the best. We don't really look alike, you know. Um, I mean, granted, we are pretty similar as far as our builds. So that actually, I didn't find this stuff out till later. So there was a lot of ways it did make sense. Where he's 6'6", I'm 6'7". We have we have the same body type. And so there's some similarities there. But like I'm thinking, oh, I should do like Chris Hemsworth, right? We're both I look a lot more like Chris Hemsworth than I do The Rock, that's for sure, you know? For one thing, we both have hair, and The Rock doesn't, right? So I'm just, like, going through these different things, and I'm picking these different people who I'm like, "Yeah, this would make more sense, this would make more sense." And I'm like, I don't really necessarily even wanna look just like The Rock, he's probably a little bigger than I wanna get. I said, "No, it's The Rock. Freaking gonna look like The Rock." So I literally put on my goals, rock body, right? And to the point, look, okay, for those of you watching on YouTube, you get a little bonus here. I made my little vision board thing and put it on my phone. And come on, man, let me move this. There we go. You're being dumb. Sorry, this is phone is trying to not cooperate with me. Here we go. You can see on there. There's obviously other. Oh, come on, focus. Auto. There we go. I don't know if you can see that very well. I put that's that first little picture is a picture of him working out, and so I started watching his like on YouTube his motivational workout videos, and I started realizing how much it takes. And then I'm like, okay, so he's a bodybuilder. I mean, you can argue there, but he says he's a bodybuilder. I know some people would say, okay, whatever, but like, so he's a bodybuilder. Oh, all everything is eating, and so I was like, "Okay, this is gonna take a lot of effort," and he puts a lot of effort. I'm gonna have to put in a lot of effort, and it motivated me because anytime I was like out on the track or at the gym, I just didn't want to do it. And I was like, "Look, your goal is to like have like a rock body, right? Like, so you're not gonna have that by eating the wrong way or not exercising and skipping days, right? He works out 6 days a week. He doesn't skip them. He gets up early. He does it, and that motivated me. And at first, like I only told a few people, and they kind of thought I was crazy, and I did get a little crazy with it. So I am actually drinking a Monster right now, but I've switched over, and so I drink, I don't just drink Monsters anymore, I drink primarily now, and I just grabbed this because we have it upstairs, and, I drink the Rocky came out with an energy drink called ZOA, so I started drinking his energy drink. I found he had a fitness line with Under Armour, and I went out and bought some of his, shirts, some of his workout shirts, so then I'm downstairs, and I'm working out, and I don't wanna swing that kettlebell anymore. I'm like, "You know what? I'm wearing my Rock shirt." I had 2 of them, 2 workout shirts. Keep going. So I got some of his clothes, got his started drinking his energy drink instead of the one, I normally drink. I don't drink it exclusively, but I drink a lot of it. So I did a few other I started watching his movies and TV shows. I went out and just, like, started, like, IMDb and started watching movies and TV shows of his. I put them on my vision wall, and I made it that was the vision, that was the focus, was to, like, look like The Rock, right? And so, yeah, I encourage you to do the same thing, not necessarily pick the rock, but find something like, "Oh, but I don't know if I could." That's fine. It should be something big and out there, right? You wouldn't be like, "You know what? I wanna look like I'm gonna pick the guy next door who's in a little bit better shape than me." No, don't do that. Go pick, someone, something big, a big goal, a big vision. It's like Grant Cardone, like the whole 10X thing, right? Like the worst thing you're gonna do is set too small of goals and then accomplish them and realize, oh, now what do I do? So yes, definitely. Go model someone, right? And then make a plan and update it regularly. So then once I knew what I was trying to get to, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make a plan. I'm gonna update it regularly. So I made a plan. I started exercising. I found out, oh, The Rock. So I grew up where we went 3 days a week. Typically, it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We went to the gym and you worked out. And so you would do, bench press, curls, you do some tricep stuff, and then, maybe you pick like Wednesday to be leg day or something, right? So it's like Monday and Friday, you're working out your arms and your chest and your back, and then you're gonna do like sit ups and leg stuff and some other like whatever, maybe some cardio on Wednesday, right? Well, I realized like The Rock, I'm like, oh, he does this thing where he works out a different muscle group every day. Later found out it's called a bro split, right? So it's like arms on one day, legs on one day, back on one day, chest on one day, and broke it up that way. I'm like, oh, I'm going to start doing that too because I'm modeling The Rock, and this is how he works out. So I'm not doing, and I looked at his workouts and stuff, and I'm like, okay, I don't have all the equipment and stuff he does, so maybe I don't do the exact same workout he does, but I'm going to be working out like he does. And so I started doing that, and that that made a difference. but then I updated it regularly. So I went through several phases. So I wrote them down here. So okay, first I started working out poorly, right? And I covered some of this in the last episode, so I won't go into too much detail in the first half of this list. Then I started working out okay, right? I went from just the walking and whatever to let me do a little bit of running. And then I did the I started working out extreme. I talked about that last week too when I was doing like the hit workouts. And so I was doing like two workouts a day, and one of them was I'd go and do the hit workout where I was like running and like around the track, and then like for short sprints, and then I do the push ups and the sit ups and all that kind of stuff, and I do that, and then I was also working at home. I was doing mostly kettlebell exercises, and then I ended up buying some gym equipment, or I'd go to the gym and I do some working out there. I started with eating healthy poorly, so it was literally just like, "Hey, I'm gonna make sure I'm eating, 3 or 4 times a week. I'm gonna throw green beans or broccoli because those are the 2 vegetables I can eat in with the diet, eat a little bit more chicken, a little less pancakes for dinner type thing." And then what I started doing is then I was like, "Okay." Then I started eating healthy poorly, but a little less poorly. I was like, "Hey, you know what? Let me stop having bowls of cereal before bed." That's probably not good to have 5 or 6 bowls of cereal, at 10:30, 11:30 at night, before I go to bed. So I made that change, and then I started cutting out and adding in, right? Just little things like that. Add in a little bit of things that are a little bit healthier, cut out stuff that wasn't as healthy. And to this day, I've done a better job at cutting bad stuff out than putting good stuff in. I'm now starting to really focus on putting good stuff in. So then I put, do it again and again. I just kept doing that over and over and over, and then I found out about intermittent fasting, and I'm not 100% sure how I found out about this. I wanna say I found out from, um, uh, Tom, Bilyeu, but I'm not 100% sure, but I definitely got some more details on it from him. So I started doing intermittent fasting, and I started out by doing from I started doing from, like, 1 to 6, but then I realized that was too early with me getting home and dinner and stuff, so I was doing from 2 to 7, and I did that for quite a while, and I lost a good amount of weight. And then I upped it, right? So then, because then when you're like 100 pounds overweight, it's easy to lose weight in the beginning. And then I slowed down a little bit. So then I upped it. And I also noticed I was cramming in 2 meals, but calorie wise, I was still fitting in like 3 meals. I was doing like a really bad, like snack junk stuff at 2, and then a big meal at dinner. So I was like, let me narrow the window. Then I started doing 5 to 7. And that worked really well because I was only eating 1 meal, and even if I did eat some sort of snack, it was like I was eating like around 5:30, and it was like, "Oh, it's like 6:30," and then there was just less time. Like, it's hard to cram in that much bad stuff, right? Like, so it made it a lot easier. And then I started doing, once a week intermittent or like 48-hour fast. So I was doing intermittent fasting throughout the week, and then Sunday night at 10 o'clock, like, or 10 o'clock. Sunday night at 7, I would stop eating, and then I wouldn't eat again until Tuesday. And I only did that for like maybe 3 or 4 times because then I've switched over to the next thing. I would still be doing it if I just had to stop because of what I'm doing with the weights stuff, the exercise stuff, and I'll get to it in a minute. So intermittent fasting really worked out for me. There's amazing benefits, not just for weight loss, but for health and it reduces inflammation. There's cellular, like cell repair, all kinds of stuff that goes on. It's amazing. Especially if you combine it with like cutting out sugar or greatly reducing sugar. Like from what I've seen, like it can even help. Like I'm not a doctor or whatever, but it can even help with like fighting off your cancer and stuff like that. Um, so and then I got sick, over over, like, kinda the holidays, and so I kinda stopped working out, but then I noticed when I worked out, obviously, like, my weight loss slowed because muscle weighs more and you're gaining, and, there's a way to, like, lose weight and build muscle at the same time, but it's really hard, and so I was like, "You know what? I'm new at this." So I stopped working out. I focused solely on the fasting. This is when I was doing, like, the 5 to 7 and doing the 48-hour fast. At one point, I ended up doing like a 14-day fat, but that was different. That was more for religious purposes, but it really helped. I lost like 11 pounds, and that helped me get over a hump. Again, I didn't do it for that reason, but it did help, and it was awesome. So, I don't think I have the willpower to do a long term fast for health. Plus, then you start to have issues with it breaking down muscle and stuff like that too. So again, it definitely got me through. It got me under 300 pounds doing that, like 14 or 15-day fast. It was gonna be a 21-day fast, but again, it was for spiritual reasons. I ended up getting some of the clarity I needed, and so I stopped it after. And I won't go into exactly what I did for it because it's not part of this thing. It happens. So I'm mentioning it. Cut back on workouts. Okay, so then I added back the workouts. So then I'm like, okay, so what happened is, I lost a bunch of weight, 60 plus pounds, and so then I had a Sunday where I still had most of my clothes were still kind of big, and some people noticed when we were talking, but and there were people say like you look good or whatever. But then I had a Sunday where my wife had got me a new shirt and it fit properly, and then I was on the stage. It's like everyone came to me and was like, "Oh, you look so good." But I noticed a lot of people said, "You look skinny," or, "Oh, you're looking really skinny," some form of that, right? And I'm like, "Ooh, okay, careful." Like, I don't wanna just be skinny. Like, I wanna look like The Rock. So I'm like, "Okay, it's time to go back to the weightlifting." And so when I heard so many people refer to me as looking skinny or thin, I'm like, "All right, cool. I still wanna lose weight. I still have, like, more weight to lose, but I'm gonna add in because I don't just wanna be the skinny guy." The tall, skinny guy. So I went back into and we're working out, and I've signed up for this CBum Fitness app, and it's from you see the vlogs, you see me talk about it. If you're on Instagram, you'll see all my daily posts and my stories about it with when I log a workout. But it's Chris Bumstead. I was saying Bumsworth before. It's Bumstead, and he's a three-time like Mr. Olympia guy. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. He clearly knows what he's doing. And so it's only like $8 a month. I signed up for it, and first I was gonna do it for 3 months, but now I'm gonna do it for 6 months. And so basically, and I'm like 8 or 9 days into it. So basically what happened or what it is I did is I found there's a I was gonna do the bodybuilder. There's different ones you can choose from. I was gonna do the bodybuilder off season. And then I was like, no, I really want that was like full body stuff. I really want to do like The Rock, right? So I switched to the bro split, even though I hate the name. It's where you do like leg day, arms, chest, shoulders, all in different days. So I'm like, I'm gonna do the bro split for 3 months, and during those 3 months, I'm gonna really be researching because at some point, I feel like I'm gonna have to stop the intermittent fasting. But I don't wanna go back and just gain a bunch of weight and gain muscle, right? I wanna be able to do both. So, I'm like, for the next 3 months, I'm going to study and practice and play around with, like, this healthier, like, eating, like how bodybuilders, they eat a ton of calories, but they're healthy, right? They're not eating pizzas and stuff like and cheeseburgers. They're eating healthier foods. Or if you go look at the CrossFit people and all that weird green stuff and orange stuff that they eat, right? They're eating healthy and they're all and even supplements, protein shakes, whatever. It's like I don't know any of this stuff. My grandpa didn't teach me any of that stuff. We just lifted weights. He taught me how to weight lift. He didn't teach me all this other healthy food stuff and supplement stuff. Excuse me again. So, anyways, I'm like, that's gonna be my 3 months is I'm going to do the bro split, like building up muscle, and I'm going to learn and still do the intermittent fasting, but then I'm gonna be learning to switch the stuff over. And I made some changes, but like I said, I mostly cut out bad stuff and add in good stuff. So for 3 months is where I'm currently on. I'm like a week and a half on this of learning all this healthier stuff and how to eat healthier and train myself to eat healthier. When those 3 months are over, then I'm like, cool, now I know how to do it. Now I'm going to do that bodybuilder program for 3 months and actually, sorry, I guess I've done too many videos today. And then I'm going to then I'll probably let go of intermittent fasting at that point and just eat like a bodybuilder, but the healthy stuff probably won't eat breakfast. I hate eating breakfast. I love breakfast food, but I hate getting up and eating breakfast early, and I get up early. I did the 4-hour body, and the breakfast was a big deal. I hate right away, and I hated that. So I'll probably still just do like a much lower intermittent fasting to where I just don't eat breakfast. I'll go from like 7 to noon or something like that, eat lunch, but then I'm gonna be eating more like all the stuff I learned from like the bodybuilding, the studying, the nutrition, and stuff like that. And then when that's over, that 3 months, I'm gonna reevaluate. How big am I? I don't want to get too big. I actually probably don't really want to be as big as The Rock. Maybe. So that's why I'm gonna do this for the next 6 months, 3 and 3, and then figure it out and reevaluate from there. And if I feel like I like the size I'm at, and but I just want to lose more weight, I want to get more shredded, as it were, right? Cut the fat, but keep the muscle. Maybe I'll switch over to calisthenics. I got to research that. Like, maybe I should do this stuff. I really like my kettlebell and my ropes, so maybe I'll get in more into the CrossFit calisthenics stuff. But I am committed for the next 6 months to train like a bodybuilder, just like I wanted rapid weight loss, which is why I wanted 2 years of weight loss in 6 months, is why I switched over to the intermittent fasting and how extreme I was doing it. I'm now like, okay, now I want rapid muscle gain. And I say rapid, I mean like healthy realistically. But I'm like, okay, let me do the bodybuilding program. It's going to be the fastest way to do this healthily. And then I'll figure out because I don't think I'm gonna do it long term. Because I definitely don't. Plus, my wife doesn't want me to be that big, uh, as far as like bodybuilder goes. And as much as I appreciate Chris's app and his stuff, I don't even want to be as big as him. I don't even know if I want to be actually as big as The Rock. I may want to be more lean, more of like a Jason Momoa or something like that. So that, again, I'll figure it out. But hey, it's going to get me there, and then I can reevaluate. All this to say, make a plan, reevaluate, and update it constantly to stick with your plan. um, Covered that. Mentally and healthy, doing healthier eating. Okay, so I covered all that. So that's episode 3 is really all about reverse engineering, and so that's my process. Do not go out and do what I did. You need to take the methodology I used of the reverse engineering of the goals and that stuff and do it. Bonus points, you really what I should have done and what you should do, go see a physician, hire a personal trainer, whatever. I don't know. Seek what Google like the best way to do this, right? Like the body transformation stuff. You probably want to talk to your doctor. You probably want to get some sort of personal trainer, nutritionist, something like that. I could probably get these results way faster and probably even a lot safer. Like I said, when I first started running, I had shin splints like crazy. I'd go part of the how I learned some of the other exercise stuff is because I couldn't run anymore because like I'd have horrible shin splints and I'd have to wait like 2 weeks before I could run again. All stuff that could have been avoided if I just was a little smarter about it. I just wanted to work harder, not smarter. And now I've gotten to because it just didn't seem possible. Go back to episode 2 and it just seemed what was it called? Hopeless. It's hopeless, right? So I just started working harder. It was more about the discipline thing. And once I started to believe I could, then I started learning stuff and working smarter. And so that's why I've got the paid app. Now I'm looking at like the nutrition side of things and like, okay, how do I get into this? How do I start eating healthier? All this kind of stuff. So figure out what it is you're trying to do. Maybe you're looking for mobility. So maybe you're doing stretching and other kind of stuff. You're not doing bodybuilding stuff. So, but just find that goal. I highly suggest you find someone to model because that's huge. And then reverse engineer how to get there. Where do you want to get? Right. And again, I don't want to look exactly like The Rock, but that was my person I modeled and like my inspiration. And then I said, okay, now how do I get there? And I would have never even looked into bodybuilding if it wasn't for modeling The Rock. And that got me into that. I'm like, cool, this is going to help me get to where I need to go faster. Am I going to stay there? Like I said, probably not. Probably going to switch over to some sort of CrossFit or calisthenics or something like I want to be much leaner than him. Um, but I don't think I would ever have gotten there if well, I'm not there yet, but I don't think if I wasn't doing this bodybuilding approach by modeling The Rock, I would have ever had a chance of getting there because it would have taken so long and I would have known what I was doing. This way, it let me just copy exactly. Cool. He's a bodybuilder. He has his workouts are kinda posted online, but they're really confusing. I was like, I just feel like I want an app that just every day tells me what to do. Like, and so I'm like writing down his workouts and trying to remember them and do them, and it just got to be too annoying. And I was like, I just want an app that tells me what to do every day. Found the Chris Bumsworth app, Bumstead app, the C Bum Fitness app. It's like $8 and change a month. I'm like, cool, I can do this. Sign up. Woke up the next day, did the exercise. I felt stupid. People were laughing at me at the gym because of some of the exercises I was doing 'cause I'm at Planet Fitness, and so people just go there and kind of fart around. They don't really, they're just there to waste time and feel good about themselves. And so, like, I was doing all these weird, and they all do like the same 4 exercises. They're all just like exercising their arms. The girls go in there and like do butt exercises, right? And that's basically, and there's cardio. That's all that happens. So I'm in there. I was doing all these weird things, and people are staring at me. I had one old guy laughing at me because some hip exercise thing. I'm like, he's our generation's Arnold Schwarzenegger. He said to do it. I'm doing it. I know. I feel weird. You're laughing at me. It's uncomfortable. I'm doing it. I don't care. That's the whole idea of modeling. So, so right now I'm very specifically I'm modeling Chris Bumstead. Even though in a generic sense, I'm modeling The Rock. Very specifically, using the workouts of Chris Bumstead. And now my next thing is I got it with this reason. I got to go find someone to model after. I'm thinking of Jesse James West, just because of my biggest thing with the food is one, I don't know, but the researching of how expensive it is. He shows a bunch of stuff, how you can buy healthier stuff at Walmart and all that kind of stuff. He's also a bodybuilder. He's like 5'7", so he's not at all my body type. So I gotta go find someone. I'm thinking maybe him to model after for the nutrition side of things. If you have some suggestions, let me know. Leave them in the comments. You can email me, Jared, Jared, in, as in Nathaniel, because it's my middle name, Elrod, Elrod, at gmail.com. If you want to email me, I'm Jared Elrod on Instagram. You can DM me, comment on one of my things, or comment on whatever you're watching on. If you have any suggestions of who I should model for fitness, because I know that Jesse James West is really not the best example, but that's kinda like the whole doing it poorly thing. So I'm probably gonna start out with him and then get more into the higher level of stuff after those 3 months or so as I get that under my belt. So, yeah, that's it for this episode. Join me for this next one, which is gonna be part 4. It should be the final part where I'm talking about the purpose of it all, I believe, without looking at my notes. I'm looking at my notes really quick. 4 is it's actually the title's gonna be "Can I Get a Witness?" But it's about the whole purpose of the Why Fitness. All right. Have a blessed day. I'll see you in the next episode.